In 2025, several nations are on the brink of financial disaster. From massive debt burdens to collapsing infrastructures, these countries are facing economic turmoil that could have ripple effects across the globe. But what exactly led them to this point? In this video, we'll break down the top 10 countries facing financial collapse and the reasons behind their struggles. Understanding these economic crises isn't just about numbers, it's about understanding the policies, global events, and decisions that shape them. Stay with us as we delve into the stories of these nations and explore what their financial futures might hold. And before we get started, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Economy Explorer for more insights into the global economy. Watch closely and don't skip. Every detail in this video matters. Number 10. Venezuela. Venezuela, a country once synonymous with oil wealth. Despite sitting on the world's largest oil reserves, Venezuela's economy has become a cautionary tale. Years of political instability and corruption have decimated its financial foundation. Inflation remains sky-high, with 25% year-on-year price increases as of late 2024. Poverty affects over 80% of the population, and humanitarian assistance is essential for survival. Despite recent attempts to stabilize oil production, the country's debt has ballooned to $154 billion. The once prosperous nation is now a stark example of how mismanagement can lead to economic ruin. Number 9. Greece. Known as the cradle of Western civilization, Greece's economic troubles are far from ancient history. Since the 2008 financial crisis, the nation has struggled with debt and a weakened banking sector. As of 2024, wages are among the lowest in the European Union, making daily life challenging for many Greeks. The country's debt-to-GDP ratio continues to climb, largely due to poor tax collection and overspending. Greece's pension obligations, the highest in the EU at 16.4% of GDP, add significant strain. Despite its rich culture and tourism appeal, Greece's financial future remains precarious. Number 8. North Korea. North Korea's secretive regime might boast about its accomplishments, but the reality is far less glamorous. Decades of isolation and sanctions have pushed the country's economy to the brink. Food shortages are widespread, and agricultural mismanagement exacerbates the crisis. The GDP per capita stands at just $1,217 in nominal terms, ranking among the lowest globally. The closure of its borders in 2020 further worsened economic conditions, cutting off essential imports like fertilizer and grain. With limited transparency, North Korea's economic woes are only getting worse. Number 7. Argentina. Argentina, a land of tango and world-class beef, has been grappling with recurring financial crises. The country defaulted on its sovereign debt 3 times since the early 2000s. By 2025, poverty has risen to over 50%, and inflation continues to erode purchasing power. With a debt of over $400 billion and rising food prices, Argentina's government struggles to regain control. The garment industry, once a cornerstone of the economy, has seen significant contractions, adding to the nation's woes. Projections for the near future remain bleak, with a high likelihood of further defaults. Number 6. El Salvador. El Salvador gained global attention in 2021 for adopting Bitcoin as legal tender. While the move was groundbreaking, it's proven to be a double-edged sword. Investor confidence has wavered, and the country's debt-to-GDP ratio has surged to over 81%. Reliant on remittances and tourism, El Salvador's economic challenges have only intensified with global market fluctuations. High poverty rates and limited public infrastructure spending further highlight the nation's struggles. Number 5. Belgium. Belgium, famous for its chocolates and cobblestone streets, faces a less sweet economic outlook. High government spending during the pandemic and rising interest rates have pushed its debt-to-GDP ratio to over 115%. Persistent budget deficits exacerbate the problem, leaving many citizens at risk of poverty. Despite its rich history and robust trade networks, Belgium's economic future is clouded by challenges such as unemployment and inflation. As of late 2024, nearly 19% of the population is at risk of social exclusion. Number 4. Myanmar. Myanmar's journey from a promising emerging market to an economic crisis is heartbreaking. Civil unrest and mismanagement have left the country's economy in shambles. By 2024, poverty rates surged to over 32%, undoing years of progress. The value of the kyat has plummeted, while exports and imports have sharply declined. The ongoing conflict further disrupts trade, leaving Myanmar's recovery prospects uncertain. Number 3. Bangladesh. Bangladesh's once booming garment industry, second only to China, is now under immense pressure. Global buyers have shifted to other markets amid concerns about unsafe working conditions and political instability. Inflation hit 10.1% in 2024, and the country's debt is projected to rise significantly by 2029. With poverty affecting a large portion of the population, Bangladesh faces an uphill battle to stabilize its economy. Number 2. Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe's history of hyperinflation remains a cautionary tale. While efforts have been made to stabilize the economy, challenges persist. The country's public debt stands at $21 billion, and crime rates have surged as financial instability worsens. Inflation is still a pressing issue, making basic goods unaffordable for many citizens. Despite some economic reforms, Zimbabwe's road to recovery is long and uncertain. Number 1. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka's financial collapse in 2022 shocked the world, and the country is still grappling with the aftermath. With over $93 billion in debt and rising poverty rates, the island nation faces significant hurdles. Years of mismanagement and reliance on foreign debt have taken a toll. Tax hikes and subsidy cuts have strained citizens further, while recovery efforts remain slow. As of 2025, Sri Lanka's economy stands as a cautionary tale of unchecked borrowing and policy errors. The economic struggles of these 10 nations in 2025 highlight the fragility and interconnectedness of our global economy. Behind every statistic lies a human story. Families striving to make ends meet, communities adapting to hardship, and nations fighting for recovery. These crises remind us all of the profound importance of sound economic policies, global cooperation, and resilience. As we reflect on these challenges, it's clear that understanding the lessons of the past is key to shaping a better future. At Economy Explorer, our goal is to empower you with knowledge and insights to navigate these uncertain times. The road ahead may be tough, but together we can uncover opportunities and foster meaningful change. Thank you for being part of the Economy Explorer community. Your support means everything to us. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach more people with these vital stories. And before you go, don't forget to check out one of the suggested videos on your screen for more in-depth analysis and compelling insights. Stay informed, stay curious, and let's continue exploring the forces that shape our world.